When you're on a dead horse, get off it, because that's what we're still seeing happening with newspaper print. We're still feeding it. I nearly starved myself in the first 12 months. Vendors were still choosing their agents from the newspaper. A lot of people thought I disappeared from the industry. Ultimately, I don't see any debate. It's a dead horse. The fact that the newspaper is subsidising heavily vendor-paid advertising, the fact that the paper's shrinking. I listen to Tom Panos, I listen to various leaders who are training real estate agents at the moment, and they're all saying that the common thread is you need to do both, and I don't disagree. But someone has to focus on 100% digital marketing. And once you start doing that, you start discovering so many other avenues, or rather than avenues, what I'd like to call it is, what you discover is momentum other than cash flow. There's so many other measurements of momentum once you start going digital, because you get so much more information about who you're speaking to and what they want to know. Like, is it a measurement in momentum when I say, I don't want my video to be viral, but I want the premium buyer to watch it 30 times? Now, what I'm finding is, if I get 1,400 views on a video, and by the way, 2 years ago, the similar sort of product, I might have got 30 views in 30 days. Now I'm getting about 1,400 views on average. By the time I meet that person who I've never met before, if they've met me in my natural environment, and I'm being transparent and being myself, they already know me before I know them. Look, there's a word that any real estate agent worth their salt knows that they should never bring up, but it's something that we all know, if you're worth your salt, that we want the vendor to be thinking, do I or don't I? And that word is trust. Most of the beach talk these days is about cafe latte, point breaks, beach breaks. What brand is your shortboard? Some think longboards are history. History to me is hearing the sun-satisfied, clear-eyed old grinder telling me how deep to dig a hole in the sand to keep your kids out of the wind when the fish are biting. Or his enthusiastic best old mate telling stories of full bags of fish, empty bottles of rum, and having no idea how the fish got there.
Think of the good things tomorrow for free.
Well, before the person's met me, if they've watched the video 10, 15 times, and they've still turned up and they've shaken my hand and they've got a smile on my face.
There is a house in New Orleans.
I've never asked myself the question before now, but the reality is, they trust me. Hi, I'm Scott Wagner. I used to flip burgers just up the road from here 20 years ago. I had 17 bidders on an auction on Saturday that sold under the hammer for $910. I was only expecting about 7 or 8 bidders. I had 11 bidders on a property 3 weeks ago, expecting 4 that sold for $775. 5 weeks ago, I was expecting 1 bidder, got 3, sold under the hammer for $1,850,000. 1970s Gold Coast. Pots of beer were 35 cents. A counter meal at the Tugun Hotel was $1.95. AC/DC were playing at the Cabbage Patch, Coolangatta, and I was daydreaming about owning beachfront. Never have an empty glass on the bar. $2,850,000 sale that the premium buyer viewed the video over 50 times. The reality is the traction on that video, which was done over 18 months ago, is only being realised now, which is another measurement on momentum as far as I'm concerned. Basically, I work on a very simple philosophy. Don't give someone a chicken burger when they order a veggie burger, and always ask if they want sauce on that. It comes from the same space in the universe where the word extraordinary comes from. That's ordinary with that little bit extra. Brett did some product placement in that. He did Waterford Crystal, and he did some roses from Burleigh. What happened to me about 6 months later, I walked into that crockery shop and a lady walked around from the counter who I couldn't see, and she came over to me and said, I know you from somewhere. You're Scott Wagner. You did the video that had our Waterford Crystal in it. Now, is that momentum? Momentum is 18 months after doing a video, the lady recognised my voice. Is it momentum that people know me before I know them because they've seen the videos? Is it momentum that I'm getting more bidders at auctions? Does it work? Well, yes, it works for me, but what I am seeing is confusion. I met a fellow on the weekend at a job. I asked him, well, did you see the video? He said, I loved it, absolutely loved it, but I'll tell you what, Scott, I nearly didn't look at it because I'm sick of going into the video and just seeing stitched together photos that I've already looked at. I find it uncomfortable looking at a property that I know that everything has been photoshopped. I love Palm Beach. I was in love with Burleigh. Like having your first child, you love her so much you're not sure if there's any love left for your second and your third.
If I could be anywhere.
I mean, everyone wants a blue sky, everyone wants your hair perfect, everyone wants everything to be the best it can possibly be. But the reality is that's not how you live. To take a snapshot of how you live or how you will live that day in that property, well, you tell me, would it work? Is that what you want to know as a buyer? I mean, life has shadows and contrasts. Don't get me wrong, all my photos are photoshopped to a degree. But I'm happy to do that because they get the raw, real deal as well. My aim is that when someone wants to buy something on the Gold Coast, I want them to see scottwagner.com.au, and that's where it'll be on their smart TV. And when they go there, they can watch a lifestyle video, and not only about the property, they're going to pick up something about the whole area. Devil's in the detail. No matter what you say or do, if you get the detail right, you're going to get the sale right.
When all is said and done, what's a home really all about?
What would you do if you knew 100% in 6 months the most dominant agency or the most dominant agent that you compete with was going to go 100% digital? This is all going to happen. When everyone's horse dies at once, I don't know what you'd call that, an umpede. I don't know what you'd call that. But if that's what you're waiting for when the newspaper print is totally dead, well, I understand and respect that, but I suggest you just do one video this month. That's all you've got to do. Trust. Yes, it's a word we're not supposed to use, but we like to think we have. Tell the truth and be yourself. You can't say shut the gate, the horse is bolted. You have to say open the gate and bring in the D9.